MSR Radio, AJ Fang. And look, I have never been happier for a rain out in my entire life. Why do I feel like I just got an alert waking up? It's 2009. I just got an alert waking up, about to get ready for school at like 6:30 a.m. in the morning. And we just found out that we just got snowed out. That's the emotion I have right now. I've never been happier for a rain out. If we could have rainouts for the next week, I would be overjoyed. I would be over the moon, okay? Since we have said rain out though, I figure since my emotions have calmed down a little bit, we can go back and talk about this Pirate series and just overall do a vibe check on where we're at in this season, okay? I'm not happy. We're a game. If you would have told me in the beginning of the year that on July 1st, we'd be a game and a half out of first place behind the Phillies and not the Braves, and the Braves would stink or damn near stink, I would say I'll take that. But now that we're here and now that I feel what I feel, I don't like it. I don't like it, okay? And look, I don't even know what I'm gonna call this video because I need to workshop a couple of different emotions. And I don't know which one is gonna be the one to prevail, but we're gonna go through them. All right, on the one hand, I wanna be Mr. Positive, we're only a game and a half out, it's a long season. Remember what happened last year in June, okay? This isn't last year, that's clear. Grimace is gone, our savior has left us. All right, we have been forsaken. All right. And on the other hand, it's not hyperbolic to say this was the worst series ever. Ever. Right? We've literally never had our asses so thoroughly whooped in a series in our entire team's history. All right. Does that sound dramatic? Okay. How's this for dramatic? This includes those jokes of teams in the early 60s. All right. Not since 1962 have we lost by 7+ runs in 3 straight games. All right. It's not just some random act of occurrence. We're talking about what, a 60+ year sample size? I hope my math is right on that. I normally good at math. All right. Just 0 for 9 runners in scoring position Friday night. 218 with runners in scoring position throughout the season. These are things. This series has been in the making for a while. All right. Oh, holy. Okay. So yes, I am including that last series in Atlanta in 2023? I think 2023. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, good for you. All right. I'm not even going to try and relive it. I was at every single one of those games, ready to celebrate, getting tore up pregame, just knowing that one of these games we're going to get for the division. All right. Even including that series, something just feels more dark and oppressive about this one. And look. I'm always one to say, let's not overreact. It's a long season, right? Like I said earlier. But I've been saying that for almost 30 games now. All right. We need a shakeup. We need a dramatic shakeup. Not a fucking team meeting. Okay. Fuck that team meeting. All right. It was cute last year. The vibe is gone now. All right. And side note, why were there 6 or 7 guys speaking at said team meeting? All right. I can name you 3, maybe 4 if we're pushing it. Maybe 4 guys who have the right to say anything in that team meeting. And unless the message is pitching tips for our AA rotation or starting or a new starter to go grab, right? Or a fire Eric Chavez chant, I don't want to hear anything. All right. Eric Chavez and Hefner appear to have the same job for this team. Right. And that job is not allowing runs to score. And I think the perfect at-bat that encapsulates everything we saw in this series, or everything I saw in this series, I hope you didn't watch all 3 games like my dumbass. All right. Mark Vientos at the plate, up 3-0 in the count. All right. We get jerked on the strike call. Remember when Mendy got ejected? We get jerked on that strike call. It's demasiado bajo. It's way too low. Okay. And he calls it because, whatever. Right. But then we can blame the umpire for that. All right. But that only gets us to 3-1. All right. In that 3-1 count, Guy throws a slider not even approaching this. Like, if he thought it was a fastball, you had to have thought it was going to clip the outside of the plate, which in a 3-1 count, you're cold as ice. You've been cold for 8 months now. Well, I don't know, whenever the playoffs ended. You've been cold since spring training. All right. You got a hot Juan Soto, as hot as he's ever been in his career, behind you. And you're swinging at something you think is going to clip the zone 3-1. And not only is it not a fastball that clips the zone, it's a wicked slider that ends up 6 inches off the plate. And with Soto up behind you, that's damn near unforgivable. All right. Shout out to Mindy for finally getting into someone's ass, which is cool. You know, I love Mindy. I'm not going to turn on Mindy just because of, you know what I'm saying? The turn on Mindy stuff is weird. We'll get into that in a different video. But that's just a perfect encapsulation of everything we saw. Okay. Something doesn't go our way. Okay, cool. You know, we can feel unlucky as baseball. But right after something doesn't go our way, we get in our own way. And it's a cycle that I've seen over and over again, predominantly with runners in scoring position. Or don't get me started on Huascar Brazoban. I'm not doing it. I don't want to become a crash out channel. I don't want to just become somebody you can clip and like, oh, look at these Mets fans, dumbass. You know what I'm saying? I'm not Frank the Tank. I want to be goofy, provide a little bit of insight. I don't want to just be Mr. Crash Out. But damn it if this team isn't making me Mr. Crash Out. All right? Just looking at that second game, the same game with the terrible Vientos at bat, right? It was poetry. It really was poetry, right? We have scoring chances in each inning. 1 through 4. Blow every one of them. Yes, okay, we scored at the top of the first. Lindor with the leadoff double. Congratulations. All right. And even in that first inning, we should have done more damage. 7 left on base in the first 4 innings. You know, Friday night, we were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And this isn't some temporary trend. We all know we're the worst team hitting with runners in scoring position. The fact that we have the record that we have is a miracle in itself. We really got to go back and analyze those games. It's a miracle. And I understand the talking points online, or we didn't play anybody, which to an extent, you know, there's a point there. I'm not going to say it's true, but the essence of what is being said, there's something there. All right. We did win the season series against the Dodgers, which I wasn't letting anybody forget in those comment sections. Okay. I'm a warrior. All right. I if it's something about me, I'm finna strap up and ride. And I need to stay out of those because anyway. You know, we won the Dodgers series. We swept the Phillies earlier on. We won the Blue Jays series, which, they weren't looking right. Santander hadn't started to hit. He might not have even started to hit to this point. I got to look into that. But yes, we faced a lot of, I guess you could say, inferior competition, but at the same time, we played up to the good teams as well. We didn't win them all, but we looked like a real... This team is making me so sick. I'm sneezing uncontrollably, you know, but we looked like a real team. All right, so I'm not going to use that, but 218 with runners in scoring position, which I'm sure is lower now, is not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. I don't know how it was sustainable for the 60 or 70 games we've played, but it's not going to be sustainable for 162. Let me tell you that right now. Now, I don't even know how much blame to assign to Chavez, but something's got to change. He needs to go. Okay? Here's a rule of thumb. When the entire fan base, even the casuals, learn the name of your hitting coach, it's probably time to go. Is that fair? The fact we even know, when did you learn Chili Davis's name? When it was time for him to go, correct? I don't know, man. I don't know what we're going to do. We look at the pitching situation. I do think it's a little unfair as far as the perspective of our collapse, as far as, you know, no one's mentioning that Kodai. When the Braves pitchers get hurt, oh, Lord, flags are at half mast, coast to coast. We observe moment of silences in school when 2 Braves pitchers go down. Or when some Yankees pitchers go down. God forbid, right? But we lose Sean Manaea before we even start the season. Frankie Montas, we didn't even know, was such a blessing in disguise that he wasn't out there. So I'm not even going to count him. But we could, if you wanted to just run the number up. as far as pitchers we expected, Kodai Senga, when he goes down, maybe there's a post about it. But there are so first of all, we're carrying all of these social media accounts, by the way. I go through and count, and we're like a third of all of these accounts. And most of it is just rage bait engagement farming for people to hate on the Mets. Why? I don't know. That's another video. But, we lose Shamanaya to start the year. Kodai Senga is down. Who else did we lose? Tyler McGill, yes, mental midget McGill. Yes, he was crumbling and he was about to give us some bad starts, but he didn't even have the opportunity to fully implode, because just when it started to look like he was going to implode, you give us 10 Ks against Boston. Yes, in 5 innings, we would have liked you to go a little longer, but, the way that game started, the fact that he got that far showed a little bit of toughness that I don't think I've seen too much of out of him. Right. So we lose a couple of frontline guys. Griffin Cannon goes down with the freak Achilles injuries. We're getting Achilles injuries now? Who is he? What is he? A shooting guard? Like, if this had happened to other teams, it would be way more, shall we say, discussed, I guess. Right. So that there's only so much of this that we can blame on Stearns. We're not going to blame anything on our Lord and Savior, Jeremy Hefner. We're not going to do that. We're not going to blame the pitching lab. So maybe we don't necessarily need to assign blame. Maybe we need to just look at this as, okay, we're hurt, right? But the answer then becomes, what do we do? You see a lot of talk for McLean, for Sproat. I think most of us understand that it's still too early for Jonah Tong. As fantastic as he looks, we don't necessarily want to ruin the kid by bringing him into this toxic mess and asking him to go out there and throw us 6 2 earned. I think that's a lot to ask of him this year, and it could be a lot to ask of him early next year. We just got to see. Let's give him the ball in AAA is different. Let's get him up to AAA at some point. We'll see what we got there. But outside of that, we bring Blade Tidwell up. He stinks. All right. And maybe we need to go and get him up out of here for a veteran with 1 or 2 years of team control. Because I think Blade Tidwell could be something. I'm not trying to wait around and grind these innings out through him to see if he's going to be something. That's not where we're at. Maybe 2021, 2020, maybe something like that. I would have been down for that. But I'm not down for that right now. Not with him. Not with him. Okay. Could we give McLean a look? I initially thought it was a little early, but the further this goes on, the more I'm like, look, let's just see what the hell we got. Right. Brandon Sproat, I mean, he had a good start last week. He still stinks, but he had a good start last week. So maybe, in MLB The Show, I like to promote guys when they get hot and let them carry that into their first major league experience. Maybe he gives us another good start. Maybe we call him up hot. He gets some confidence. Oh, shoot, I belong here. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, we haven't even mentioned, why am I blanking on his name? Jesus Christ. Christian Scott. Christian Scott looked decent. That's another pitcher we don't have. So we lose Sean Manaea, our 2, or some people might see him as our 1. I think Kodai Senga is the best pitcher in our organization. So we lose our 2. Christian Scott, I would, if he comes into this year healthy, I look at him as our 4 because, with Peterson there. And Peterson has looked good, but Peterson can't carry the staff by himself. Especially, he's one of the starters that was in Pittsburgh. So he's on my shit list right now, but, he did a lot of good work. That game against the Dodgers was legendary. I'll probably rewatch that start 20 years from now. So, I'm going to spare him the brunt of this. And as we keep talking, I'm realizing I need to stop yapping so much about it. I'm going to go find some solutions. We're going to go look around the league. I already identified the guy in Baltimore. What was his name? Eflin? I think Zach Eflin. I've already identified him as one guy that we could trade one of these fringy, bottom of the rotation developing arms for, and just let's get a year out of him. This is a year we need to go for. We need to be going for it the next couple of years. All right. Not to say we need to go for it every year of Juan Soto's 15-year contract as far as trade deadline moves, but because realistically there will be a rebuild sometime in the next 15 years. Nemo's getting older. Francisco, Nuestro Campo Corto is getting older. And so, at some point, there is going to be a rebuild. But for these next 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, we need to be going for it. All right, we need to be going for it. So I'm gonna get that video cooking up. I'm gonna stop with the yapping, and yeah, I'm gonna let y'all up out of here. Class is dismissed. This is MSR Radio. I hope the Fang. I'm gonna throw up my socials real quick. If you're fucking with the vibe, hit subscribe. You already know what it is. The road to 10 subscribers. All right, catch y'all next time. We out.